Well, welcome to Dynamite, folks. We're back here with Dynamite. Oh, God, this show. Okay. So what happened? We had, of course, it would be addressed that Sting would come to congratulate Darby Allin's his TNT title defense against Brian Cage on the previous episode of Night 2 of New Year's Smash, and Peter Avalon would face off against Cody. I think the only reason why Peter Avalon would ever have a match would be to further against Jade Cargill's storyline with him. That was about that. The match was like 10 minutes, even though this guy is a jobber on Dark. And then they try to give pretty Peter Avalon. What happened to the librarian gimmick? I knew that was just a shot at WWE for their shoddy gimmicks. Even though that's the only reason why Cody is even relevant as he is. But by God, guys, it was just mediocre over the standpoint of me actually caring that this match was over 10 minutes long. With, probably 1 to 2 commercial breaks. Then we had the Hybrid 2, the Chaos Project, for Happy Birthday for Brody Lee Jr. That was already 3 days past. And that was about it. The only thing was Hangman Adam Page was in there. And there was some cool moves that ended with, I think, a buckshot lariat into a suplex. And then it ended with Luther getting into a birthday cake. Like, he was doing these crappy kick pads. The match was so forgettable. That ends with Sean Silver. Like, if you want to know, like, what makes him a Dark Order, this guy's saying the most sussest stuff. It was like, we're a bunch of guys. We hang out. I like your muscles. That is gay. These guys are gay. All of them. All of them. They have no character. They have no gimmick. John Silver comes around sounding sus as hell every time. Anna Jay is just looking pretty and just doing nothing else. Like, it's supposed to be like, okay, the other head of the operations are obviously Stu Grayson and Evil Uno, even though they show no orchestration of order other than trying to harass mid-card purgatory stars that just show up on the faction. That wasn't even that successful until John Harper won the TNT title against Cody. Other than that, that was the only time these guys were actually thrown as a major threat on the card, and then nothing happened. We also had frickin' Cody Rhodes against Peter Avalon, pretty Peter Avalon. So he shows the robe and he comes around looking like a YouTuber. The guy's built like a pedo. This guy is sus. I hate him already. And he barely had one moment on Dynamite other than that one time they had that debate over if MJF could join the Inner Circle or not with Eric Bischoff. And that's the only time I've seen him on Dynamite. Other than a couple BTE skits, and I don't give a shit. Folks, the match, had Jake Cargill coming in for a quick distraction, came to a low blow. Avalon could have just did a roll up for okay. I understand they still wanted Cody to look strong, but why not just make him lose and cause him to get upset over Jake Cargill costing him a match? Quick match, easy storyline, thanks they're already making this long term, and the pay-per-view won't come until late next month. So why do they care about still making Cody look strong? You have, a gimmicky guy that barely has that much TV time, or at least that much history over in Dynamite. So why not just have him win a match against a top guy that can't even challenge for the world title? Very little sense. We had the Cody Cutter that somehow didn't take a jobber like this guy out. This match dragged over for a commercial break for a guy that barely has that much time on Dynamite to begin with. Crossroads, and then nothing else happens. Next, we had Moxley against Nick come Berto, like I'm supposed to know what's got. It's just a buff jobber that Moxley's beating, and they were being like, "Oh, Moxley's a brawler out of this buff dude, so obviously muscles don't matter over the standpoint of the matchup." While he was just going in an easy back and forth, and it ends with the Bulldog sleeper hold to take him out. That was about it. There were some counters, neck breakers. Moxley just come around with just more chest hair, and that's about it. He came around wearing a dumb hoodie while we're still wearing boots and pants. That's about it. I mean, it's cool to see, I guess, Moxley back in action, bringing up for the AEW World Title, and he said it doesn't matter about the Bullet Club. You've just brought more guys for the fun. Like, I want to take Moxley as a badass. I really do. And times he does act cool, even though, like, it's just regular Dean Ambrose, but just with a bit better build. Even though he still rolls around his neck. Still always acting prolifically monotone in most of his promos. But, Jesus, it's just a generic ass-kicking brawler. And Moxley doesn't have that much of a charisma to even monitor that much of a major threat. That's just my opinion over the standpoint. It was cool to see him back, but why not over a suitable face that he could just squash out and show that he's serious? I mean, he just took Mr. 10 in just a few seconds with just hitting him with the paradigm shift and beating the piss out of him with a pile driver. So why not this big buff dude? Hell, I wouldn't even care if they even signed Eric Bugenhagen. Private Party and Matt Hardy were against Top Flight and Matt Sydal. Top Flight is not even part of the official roster. I don't even know why they keep forcing these midget flyers to be on television. So over the standpoint, there was supposed to be some coexistence with Big Money and Matt Hardy, with him trying to make the Private Party cheat, spin out neck breakers. I think they won over with the gin and juice. I'm gonna be honest, I barely watched most of this match. The other match I saw was Layla Hissich against Hershich versus Penelope Ford. It was just rest hold after rest hold, a bit of a drop kick. Penelope Ford getting the win with Kip Sabian just holding down the legs, and then we have the new butler, young boy or sex slave for Miro coming around saying to Orange Cassidy, "I'm Miro's best friend now," and I'm supposed to care why? Because a fake pop over the Trent and Chuck hugging is over. I don't really care. The lack of storylines are apparent. Just make Miro like the Euro monster like he did back in WWE. That'll be more notable. That'll be more threatening, and plus Miro could just darken his hair, or at least shave it a tiny bit, give him a bit of a buzz cut or something, and make him like a Euro monster. He doesn't have to do this crap over with uh Kip Sabian, and at least they can still have the still marriage garbage and let him feud with the best friends because Kip Sabian's just there as another Euro indie midget that has no charisma. I don't like burying these guys, but it's like they're making the show bland as hell, and they shouldn't be. They didn't even do another of those talk shows over with Britt Baker to sell that in 2 weeks she got to face Thunder Rosa. Why aren't these women facing off for the women's championship? Who in the hell is Hikaru Shida feuding with? She already beat Abaddon. So what's the point? They have no semblance of storylines, and they want me to pay $50 to just join a community of probably the minority of the fan base of AEW to begin with? That's ridiculous. I already made over a video just squashing their stupid little AEW heels garbage. You don't need a community for a minority of a fan base that's already a fan minority. So why in the hell should I care about AEW heels? Just make your division be taken seriously. It's not that difficult. Drop the belt over to Hikaru Shida. Give it to Britt Baker. Make her act like a coward, talk shit, and cause some stretch of challengers. And make the matches at least over 10 minutes. That identifies your women's division. Like, people could still get as much garbage they talk shit about TNA. At least TNA has fond memories of, oh, they had the X division, they had decent main eventers that they signed from WWE that used to be like a mid-card hell, and of course, they actually had a women's division that was taken more seriously than the WWE's one. That was way ahead of our time with Gail Kim, ODB, the Beautiful People, and of course, Awesome Kong. I can remember all those chicks. And the only people I see any semblance of potential with is possibly Anna Jay, Tai Conti, sometimes Hikaru Shida, Britt Baker, and Thunder Rosa. And I barely even know if she's even part of the roster or not sometimes. Next up, we also have build over with the Inner Circle in their triple threat tag team match to see who will be chasing the tag team belts. Instead of Jericho or MJF trying to chase for the world title, no build over that, and these guys haven't even gotten their rematches, so I don't know why they're building over who's going to get the tag belts. The interview was just bland over MJF and Chris Jericho. I don't like just them treated as like minute comedic characters that's main eventing. It just feels so undermining. Sammy Guevara tagged with Jake Hager, Ortiz and Santana already a tag team, and it's just Jericho and MJF. Cool shooting star press, I guess, to break up the pin. Salt of the earth. There was a bit of a low blow. There was already a top rope Canadian destroyer. Guevara was doing a few cool moves. Hagar just felt like he was just there. It was a simple roll up over the tights over Guevara for the win, so MJF and Jericho will obviously be the ones tagging to face off for the tag belts in the future. There was also like a segment involving. I do these late because they're obviously not important to the show. We also have FTR having a talk over with the Jurassic Express over Jungle Boy facing off against, I think, Dax Hardwood 1-on-1 next week for no reason. Other than these guys have a bit of a grudge against one another. That's about it, man. Like, I want to. FTR, I want to take them seriously, but they're just there. Tully Blanchard's just managing guys with no semblance of a look, distinguishable characters, or at least charisma. That's terrible because what I'm issuing out, that's the Four Horsemen. That's legitimacy. That's look. That's main event. That's money. And I just wish Tully had better stuff to work with. And he should. They have guys like Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, Jake the Snake Roberts that should be managing the next generation of top stars. They have Lance Archer issuing fights over with Eddie Kingston. They have jobber tag teams like Jurassic Express that somehow get the most screen time over FTR, feuding for no reason. And Cody's just futurely facing off with Shaq, sucking himself off. And like trying to like do his a Haloific little Snoop Dogg mix with his own theme song, facing up against Peter Avalon. And it wasn't like, oh, Shaq's gonna. Why couldn't Shaq just issue wrestlers that gotta go against Cody to prove that he's ready for Shaq for some garbage like that? I would rather have that than just Cargrell coming in for one thing and just nothing happening. Nothing happened in the show. They also had this thing with the Young Bucks coming to Kenny Omega's crib, and then Don Callis would come around stopping them, thinking that they're holding them back, even though they came over in the ring literally celebrating with one another, and yet they do a storyline over that the Elite, the most successful thing in New Japan, are literally holding Kenny Omega back for no apparent reason. And even though Kenny Omega held himself back, and he's literally had promos over that. But now Don Callis like, oh, and people can't, like, he's not even a main eventer. You have a world champion that's not a main eventer. That's not good business. he just doesn't feel like he has like a favorable aura other than guys that waste their lives watching New Japan know. Then he just goes around the bathroom talking to Don Callis after coming back in the Young Bucks, issuing that there's a bit of disparity. That Don Callis is trying to separate Kenny Omega from the Young Bucks. Like, dude, what? I don't care. This unsuccessful porn director face ass is just boring. And Kenny Omega just should drop the belt. He should drop the freaking belt. If you want to make the Bullet Club back, fine, but name it something else. I guess. So, I guess, and if you want, just you're already doing partnerships over with Impact, so why not just bring them over to just do some minor matches or some garbage? But by God, dude, just make some basic storylines or something, dude. You just have these matches that just felt like they were just there. That's what I felt about this episode of Dynamite, man. Other than that, that's all I gotta say. If you guys think differently, please comment in the comment section below. Would love to hear your opinion, what you have over this episode of Dynamite. But I just felt like it was garbage, pure garbage. They should be doing better. They have the money to do better. They have the stars to do better. You guys should be getting James Storm, Eli Drake. Over with NWA trying to rebuild themselves, they would need more of their partnership. They want to distinguish with already like their NWA Women's Championship, get more traction than the AEW Women's Championship. You guys have the potential to be doing good business like this, and yet you're not. I have no idea. But that's all I have for this episode. If you guys think differently, love to hear your opinions over like the video. Love to hear what's going on. Please subscribe, I guess, to the DST show, or this DST network. If you guys are more into the sports take of my content. Other than that, that's all I gotta say. That's it for me.